What's up, everyone? The Eternals was directed by Chloé Zhao and stars Gemma Chan, Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Tyree, Kumail Nanjiani, and the list goes on. The story basically follows a group of alien race called Eternals who emerge after 1,000 years to protect the Earth from their evil counterparts, the Deviants. So, guys, we got yet another Marvel Cinematic Universe movie on the slate. And I gotta say, this is another one, like Shang-Chi, I've never heard of. I've never heard of any of these characters. I'm not a comic book reader. I even heard like some of the bigger YouTubers on here say that they haven't even heard that much of them. Unless you actually read the comic books, which I'm not privy to. So, yeah, like Shang-Chi, I've never heard of these. But let's get into the positives of Eternals. Is it Eternals or The Eternals? Oh, yeah, it's just Eternals. Marvel's Eternals. So, positives for Marvel's Eternals. Basically, you got a really good story here. It's basically this alien race that has been sent here to Earth like 7,000 years ago. And they protect us from these deviant-like creatures, which is basically their evil counterparts, like their evil clones. But they're like more creature-like. And I like that. It's what you expect from a Marvel movie. It's pretty much what you expect. And you find out that this big honcho is trying to destroy the Earth to make room for new ones and this and that. It's all about consumption. When us humans being here on Earth has consumed a bunch of like Earth's resources. So this villain, so-called villain, is actually like with the mindset, well, we got to start over fresh so we can do it better and this and that. So I thought that was pretty good. It was your basic, typical end-of-the-world type thing that the MCU usually throws out. Now, I will say, this doesn't really feel like an MCU because they've already exhausted everything. You know we're not in the Infinity Saga anymore. So that's probably why. But it doesn't really feel like an MCU, but you know you're in the MCU. You know you're in that world. So you got a great cast. Gemma Chan was especially just awesome as the main character. She really did her best. She was really good as the main character, as the good girl, as the good guy. A good woman, I should say. And you got the likes of Salma Hayek and Angelina Jolie, which, come to think of it, I think this is the first movie I've ever actually seen them act in together, which was nice. And they brought their all. You know, even though Salma Hayek in it like a lot, you still get plenty of her, and Angelina Jolie, and both knockouts. But moving on, Tyree and Kumail Nanjiani. I'm so sorry, folks. Yeah, those two guys. They usually bring a pretty good amount of comedy in their respective movies. Like, I love Tyree in the Godzilla vs. Kong film. He was really funny in that. And Kumail Nanjiani, he was good in Men in Black. He played that little miniature, whatever the freak you call that, the little miniature sculpture, whatever. I forget what he called himself in that. It's been a while since I've seen Men in Black International, but he was good in that, and he was good in Stuber. If I had to compare their type of comedy, I'd have to say that they're kind of even. I kind of got more comedy out of Tyree than Kumail, but they evened out pretty good, and they were the somewhat good comic relief. And that's another thing. They usually kind of go all out with the comedy to a point where it's silly. I didn't get that here. It was perfectly balanced out to where you could stand it. It wasn't one of those like silly, well, they just say something random and it just turns awkward after. It wasn't like nothing like that. So, yeah, you got that. The comedy really balanced out really well. And like I said, it was one of those Marvel movies that you wouldn't really know it's a Marvel movie. But like I said, I guess it's because we're done with this Infinity Saga. That all got closed out with Infinity War and Endgame and even a little bit of Spider-Man Far From Home. Because I was like technically kind of part of it. So like Black Widow was actually the start of Phase 4. But everybody's saying that Shang-Chi is the main start of it. But Anyway, moving on, irrelevant. This doesn't really feel like that because of that reason. I'm not saying that it's bad because of that. People are saying that the MCU has kind of exhausted their resources because of that. But I know there's so much, and even though I'm not a comic book reader, I know there's so much out there, so many comic books that Stan Lee did. The late Stan Lee, he made a lot of these characters possible, even the ones that we haven't really heard of. And that's because was all about Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk. Those are the ones that really stood out in a lot of people's minds. And rightfully so, too. I don't really blame them. They're just the ones that stood out, but like something like the Eternals, to like most people, they're like background characters, I guess you could say, like Shang-Chi was. So we're in new territory right now in the MCU. We're in Phase 4, so we're probably going to hear about a lot more characters that we haven't never heard of. Now, we still have yet to see the X-Men in the MCU and the Fantastic Four, but I'm just saying, there's probably more characters out there like Eternals, like in Shang-Chi, that we hadn't heard of yet, so we'll just see how that goes. But get back to Eternals. The movie itself, it was good. It was really good. As you know, I've got maybe small little minor nitpicks about it, but the cast was really good. The way it was shot, it was really beautifully shot. Now, I was watching one YouTuber on here, one of those bigger YouTubers, Jeremy Jahns. If you hadn't checked him out, do so. He's pretty good. He was trying to figure out how much the movie was cost because he was talking about how beautifully shot it was, especially by the third act, by the final confrontation. And I found out it is around $200 million and maybe a little more because with the ads and the advertisements and campaigns and TV spots, which is the same as ads. So if you're hearing this, Jeremy Jahns, it's like $200 and some odd million or something like that, which I know you're not looking at me. I'm just a small timer compared to you. As I was saying, the film looked beautiful. There was some really great special effects. There was some great action sequences. I wouldn't say that it looked practical, but it didn't look bad either. And like I said, the end of this movie was definitely worth it. I like the fact that they kept on going in the past. You know, you find out that these eternal beings got sit here like 7,000 years, but then it was showing like throughout the Roman time and the World Wars, ancient times. It would go back and forth. So I appreciated that too. Now, getting into the mix, the movie was long. I felt like some of it could have been trimmed out. There was some scenes in this movie that did drag on. As I stated before, it's around 2.5 hours. And that's including the 2 end-credit sequences. The movie was a little draggy. It's no Infinity War where you have like action-packed non-stop. It was more like Endgame. But again, new territory. But it was just kind of lackish. It was draggy a little bit. Now, not to saying that there was more action sequence in this than Dune, because Dune was just slow. Dune was more story-oriented and character-driven. This one was kind of both. So it kind of balanced out. The story was good. The characters was good. It was beautifully shot. It was well choreographed. And there was plenty of action scenes. But some scenes was a little draggy. In the end, Eternals is a really good MCU movie. It's still one of those that, even though it doesn't really feel like one because of the new phase that we're in, it still held its own. It still had its moments. If you're an MCU fan, then you'll definitely enjoy this. You get it all. You get all the special effects. You get all the superpower mojo. Eternals, check that out. Support your local theater. Enjoy the big theater experience for how it's meant to be seen. And you'll have a good time. You'll enjoy it. You'll have a really good time with it. So Eternals, what did you think of it? Was this your favorite MCU movie? Was this your favorite MCU adaptation? Or were you more preview to the others? Leave me your comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, as always, for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.